Natalie coming to you live, Spirit and Coffee. Got my coffee here. hmm So yummy, yum, yum. On the tum, tum, tum. All right, let's get started. My crazy hair. Have to do like a hair fix when I get on here. Okay, so it is too crazy. Things are too crazy not to talk about, right? I think that people get that there's a lot of madness going on, a lot of crazy in the world right now. Everybody's in a panic. Um, everybody is being urged to stay home. People are worried about martial law. You know, certain legislation and laws are getting amended and passed in different places. Really, what we see is a worldwide shift in consciousness. Now, I did tell you guys that this would be happening eventually. I did tell you that to be prepared for it to come down to this. And I'm going to say be prepared for it to get even crazier. Now, for those people who are awake and illuminated in this time, for those people who understand, good morning, Lily, who understand that all of this, right, what's going on right now, who understand, are illuminated and are awake or self-aware or aware of the bigger cosmic picture at play, those people are not in a panic. But why? So we sort of had these different types of people right now. And I'd imagine that everybody who's are on these live videos are the ones that are a little bit more mellow. I'm not saying that you're not taking precautions and that you're not, maybe there's some fear in you. I'm not sure 100%, but I would say that you guys are a little bit more prepared. Why? Because this is about not just being prepared with material things, but also being prepared with your internal world. And really, that's all it's about. Being prepared with who you are as an individual internally. I did see videos of like people fighting over the material things like toilet paper, whatever the US has done. Okay. I don't think this is happening in other countries, but the toilet paper, right, is a big thing here, and people taking bottled water. And then people really, having issues with the elderly not being able to get the resources that they need. Okay. Ellen, you can absolutely talk to me if you want to email me at spiritandbrew@gmail.com, and I can connect with you by other means. Here's the deal. When you're correct in the mind, when you have your mindset the way that it needs to be, okay, when you're figuring out, how do I correct this mindset of mine? How do I live in the mindset that supports me to get through this, whatever craziness is going on in the world right now, is what is important. That is what Spirit and Coffee is about. This entire platform was designed 2 years ago to support you guys through this process. If anything, if there's ever any live video that you're on, this is the one you should be on, because I've led you guys up to this point. If you've been following me from the beginning, this is the point where I've led you to, is to be at peace with yourself. Learn to love you. Remember that everything that ever is or was exists inside of you. The only thing people fear is the fear of loss and the fear of what? Not having enough. Scarcity. It's a scarcity mindset. I'm not going to have enough food. I'm not going to have enough this. Why? Because they're afraid they're what? Going to lose their life. They're afraid that they might feel some physical harm. They're afraid that, what are they afraid of? There is no need to fear when you understand that you are a creature of God, that you are God in action, and that in order for the universe, in order for this planet to reconnect to God, we have to go through what's called a tower event. You guys have seen me do it in my own personal life. I did it on purpose so that you guys can understand what it feels like, right? I asked you guys to try to do this with yourself. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want you to do a tower event for yourself unless you understand completely, fully, and wholly what you're doing. But to devour something. So, what is going on right now? Not from, I'm not going to talk about this from a place of conspiracy theories. I'm talking about it from the esoteric, spiritual, alchemic process, natural law. What needs to happen in order for us to shift into a new level of consciousness? People cannot shift into a new level of consciousness until they go through the fire and the burning tower. Good morning, married to a therapist. The burning tower in spiritual alchemy is an event that happens, and it could be small or it can be huge. Now, we have something called the microcosm and the macrocosm, and I've talked about this before. Okay, and maybe it'll make a little bit more sense to you guys now that we're actually all experiencing it from a bigger scale. Nothing to be afraid about. Those who are afraid or in panic are the ones who are going to put themselves or be susceptible to feeling fear, harm, scarcity, which is fine too. I'm not, people are going to experience what they're going to experience, but here's how we get through it, right? Here's how we get through the mindset. Okay, I'm going to draw something. And for those of you that are on Podbean, you're not going to be able to see the drawing unless you get on my live video at Spirit and Coffee Talk on Facebook, which is fine. But I'll try to draw it out and explain it at the same time so that hopefully those viewers on here will get a visual in their mind of what I'm talking about, okay? So I'm going to go through this again because I want everybody to understand that it is okay. What we're going through right now, you could panic if you want to, but you don't have to. Why? Because there's if you understand the process and you understand why it's happening, then I think you're going to feel a little bit better and you're going to be okay with going through this event. Now, I want you guys to come to the realization that you've been through a tower event in your life before and it felt like death to you. This is a death of an old pattern. To bring death to an old pattern, we have to go through the fire. Going through the fire is like burning everything up inside of us, our beliefs, our thoughts. It's burning up the things inside of us that we never thought could exist. It's even going as far to say, how do I burn up the judgments I have about people who are in scarcity? It's allowing us to see all of the murk and the dirt, okay? That's what's happening right now. How do you guys stay grounded in this time of what we call chaos? And I did tell you again, it was going to get crazier before it got better, okay? And it's going to continue to get crazier until people wake up. Wake up and remember that they are God in motion, okay? Because God is saying, wake up. Now, we have two things. We have the macrocosm and the microcosm, okay? Now I'm going to make it like two circles, but really it's not. Actually, what we can do is make it two pyramids. So the top pyramid is opened to the top, and the bottom pyramid, so it almost looks like an hourglass if you had two pyramids on top of the other, okay? And you have the macrocosm, okay? So I have to write backwards, so give me just a moment, okay? Oops. Oops. Okay, so it's MORCAM. Okay, so this is the macro, okay? That is the macrocosm, this pyramid, okay? I'm going through this again so that you guys can see that right now we are going through what's called a tower event. The tower is coming down. There's good, and of course, we're going to experience the bad that comes with it, but you don't need to be afraid of any of it, you guys. Okay, I want you guys to understand. Good morning, Nicole. Happy St. Patty's Day. Happy St. Patty's Day, Doreen. Okay, now, so the top pyramid would be the macrocosm. Now it's open to the top, okay? Why? Because the spirit is allowed to come in through the vessel. And we can call this the earth, okay? So we have sort of this energy that's moving through the top at the macrocosm, okay? Order and disorder, reorder. Yes, Lily, thank you so much. Then at the bottom, we have the microcosm. Micro, M-I-C-R. Oops. Okay, I did that wrong. We have the micro, okay? So we have the macro and the micro, okay? This also works in like physics and all these other things, but we're not going to get into that. We're going to talk about the spiritual alchemic process that we're going through right now on a global scale. I'm sort of excited about it in a lot of ways because it's allowing the human race to wake up. That is why I do these videos, to lead you to this point so that you can understand. Hopefully, you guys have been practicing the things that I've asked you guys to practice, because the practice is so that when an event like this happens, you're ready to go. You know what to do. You understand how to clear your mind. You understand how to remain calm and focused rather than going into the chaos and getting sucked up by the vortex. You guys have the power to stay firm and grounded and strong. Warriors of God. Why? Because we believe that God will ground us back in. We know that. We remember who we are. We know that we're God in motion. We understand that we are God. We understand that we need to cleanse and that we need to open up the eyes of all of the humanity, because it's not serving us the way that we're operating right now. And if we continue to operate that way, we're going to really make a huge mess. And if we want to survive as a species, as a human race, something's got to give. We're at a breaking point right now. That's what's happening. And everybody knows it. So they're trying to figure out, how do we take this breaking point and shift the energy? Now, what's going to come after that? Who knows? Okay. But you guys have the ability, right, to stand firm. And we could be the ones who say, this is the new world that we want to create. We have the opportunity to insert new patterns right now. Okay. We're in an era right now where new patterns are being seeded. And you, people that are listening, have the ability to seed new patterns of love, of kindness, of compassion, of understanding, of purity, of hope. Okay. So here's the macro and the micro. Now, what is happening right now? The microcosm, what they've done in society to keep us under control is that they've taken out this part of the equation. And they've only taught us this part of the equation, the micro. They've never taught us how to use the macrocosmic piece. The macrocosmic piece is how to transcend the soul into pure light. They've taken that away from us. The microcosm is how to interact in the material world. The material world right now, when we look at the material world and we see how we're creating things, we can't see past the material world because they've taken this sacred wisdom away from us. This macrocosmic part, the spirit to transcend all that is where natural law exists. That's all there is. Natural law says that there are going to be tower events, that things are going to shatter and come to pieces. Why? Because God's law supersedes any law. Natural law will supersede any law. You can't stop that from happening. You can't stop Mother Nature from doing her thing. It's not going to happen. Now, chaos comes in. Here's how we deal with the chaos. This is what I'm trying to teach you guys. The macrocosm. How do I transcend my spirit? How do I bring myself back to peace, to wholeness? Now, in the macrocosm, there's something called a tower event. The tower event is a catastrophic thing that happens. It can happen at a small scale. At the microcosm, at the smaller scale, okay, that happens in our daily life, like divorce, like death of a loved one. So we've been through this before. Okay, we've been through this type of tragedy before. It's not like this is new. We're just making it bigger because now we're experiencing it at the macrocosm. That's what's happening. And people are thinking it's different. As within, so without. It's not different. It is the same. The tower event, what it does is it devours the paradigm. It smashes the paradigm. It collapses everything. We've been through it as a nation when the Twin Towers came down and they collapsed. That was a huge tragedy for our nation, right? We felt something. We felt something big was happening. We were all up and scared, right? And all we could do was say, what do? We love. We have compassion for one another. We support one another through this. We unite as a human species, as a race. Okay. So on the other spectrum of we're separating everybody, let's keep everybody separate. But on the other end of the spectrum, if you're looking at the pendulum swings to what? Unity and connection. The pendulum is swinging the direction of saying unite people. Unite with your families. Unite in compassion. Unite in love. Unite in joy. Unite in prayer. Unite in remembering that you are God. And it's a big wake the F up, which I've told you guys to do plenty of times. Wake up, wake up, wake up. It's not, you can't wake up tomorrow. I told you the ship was sailing. I told you the ship was sailing like, I don't know how long ago. I wasn't joking about that. Like, that wasn't, I mean, I laugh when I say it, but it was true. I was telling you, things are going to get crazier. They're going to get crazier. And I can guarantee they're going to get even more crazy. Just when you think you couldn't get enough of the crazy, it's going to happen even more. So for us to stay grounded, to become warriors of God, to recognize that we are, is to find our center and our balance. How do you find your center and your balance? Well, hopefully you've been practicing this whole time, and I'm sure most of you have been practicing. There's a lot of different practices that you can take into place. One of them is to turn off the toxic stuff. Okay? Be informed, but don't allow it to absorb your entire energy. There are so many. We are resilient as a people. We are resilient. The human species is resilient. It's what I love about us. We have care, kindness, compassion. People will rise up to support one another in times of peril. That's what happens. Yeah, we have people who fight and kill each other and do all these crazy things over toilet paper, whatever is going on out there. Stop focusing on that. That's one of them. Instead of being part of the storm, be the calm in the storm. Allow yourself to drop into the peace and tranquility and to say, okay, this is part of an alchemic process. This has to happen. God is saying, wake up, people. Really, that's it. Just wake up. That's it. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Get up. I told you guys this 2 years ago. Wake up, get up, wake up. It's time to wake up. We can't. Well, I'll just wait until tomorrow to wake up. Okay. And everything's in flames, and now you're panicking because you were like, oh my God, I didn't prepare to wake up. I just wanted to be asleep. You can no longer say ignorance is bliss, okay? Because everything is coming to the surface. All of the chaos, all of the murk, everything is starting to surface up. And it's going to get crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier. And we're going to be like, what is going on? And I tell you to remember that the chaos has to come. Embrace the chaos. Don't resist it. Resistance makes it harder. Surrender. Fall to your knees. Pray. Do whatever you've got to do. Allow yourself to let all of that energy out. Let it go. The fear, the whatever it is for you. The macrocosm right now is going through a tower event. That is crazier than the micro. A tower event in the macrocosm means that new paradigm is coming, new ways of thinking, and it has to devour the old structures in order for a new to arise. You can't have the same and shift energy just like that. You literally have to take down the entire thing. The foundation in which it was built was not solid enough to sustain it forever. But we do know that there are foundational things in life that have stood forever. There are certain foundational principles that have stood in the macrocosm and never change. And that is the esoteric work of spiritual alchemy. It doesn't change. It never does. That's why I'm a spiritual alchemist. We have the tower that burns, okay? Tower burns down. And after the tower, you guys, comes the star. Our greatest dreams and hopes come to life. After the tower comes the star. Okay? We are going to get through this tower event at the macrocosm. Is it going to be easy? No. Is it going to get crazier? Yes. Is it necessary? Yes. Why? Because we need to clear out the old. Now, what's important at this time? What's important is what is going to be seeded as a new. What new seeds are going to be planted into the new paradigm? How will we as a human species start to recreate and rebuild the foundation? In the time of what they call Atlantis, or the time of the Egyptian goddesses and gods, if you notice, they go from goddesses and gods to kings and queens. And as soon as kings and queens came in, things shifted a little bit in the way that people processed things. Gods and goddesses become the macrocosm. Kings and queens become the microcosm. Good morning, Marco. How are you doing? Good morning, Adam. Sorry, I didn't say good morning. I don't know if you're still on here. But at the macrocosm, right? Now we're taking this. So I want you to see something that's really cool in this structure that I just built. At the macrocosm, we have a pyramid. This is getting devoured at this point. Before, when we were talking, it was this, a little bit of this and this, but now this is totally starting to change, okay? We're going through a tower event. It's shifting. Right here, this is starting to happen. Both of them are in a whirlwind of chaos at the macro and the microcosm, okay? Now, what we do is we bring them together to create the star. When they both collapse, we put the pyramids together. There's the pyramid one, which is the macrocosm, okay? And then we put this pyramid together. And that is the microcosm. And what do we get? We get the star. That is where balance and harmony exists. Okay, we can even put a circle, and I think that would be the Star of David, probably. I think that's how it looks. Okay. When we bring these two together, we create what's called wholeness. It's called oneness. It's called unity. It's called balance. It's balancing the scales of justice. Releasing all of that energy that is not serving us as a human species. We've created a really wonky, weird story in this illusion. And it's time for us to shift the mindset. Now, how do we seed new patterns? It's going to be up to us, because I can guarantee you the way that this works, the way that, civilization over and over again, is that the patterns of duality exist. Okay. The patterns of the opposite poles, the yin and the yang exist in both, the dark and the light. So those that are light bearers, those that are light beings, those that are here to support the illumination of humanity get to seed illumination of humanity, get to seed illumination, right? They get to seed compassion, love, forgiveness, kindness, all of the things that are important. in the foundational structure really all that exists, because everything that's happening right now is bringing us back to love. It's telling us to love one another. It's telling us to unite. It's telling us to remember that we all go through shit, that nobody escapes it. Not in the physical world, we don't escape it. In the spiritual world, we've already escaped it. We were never part of it. It's just a reminder. So no need to freak out, okay? Because what is going to happen after is peace and harmony and tranquility. Okay? There's a calm before the storm, there's a big, huge storm, and then there's a calm and peace afterwards, right? And you're like, whoa, what just happened? And then there's hope to rebuild. This has happened throughout the ages. It's happened through all ancient civilizations. One thing remains: our morals and principles, and the foundation of the spirit never changes. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. It doesn't shift, it doesn't change. Get back to that basic foundation that you've created. I literally will put myself in tower events purposefully so that I can simulate something on a larger scale. How do I deal with these things? Now, most people are saying, we know that this is crazy, this is ridiculous, but still, things are going to get crazier because not everybody's waking up to realize who they are, not realize that God lives within them. Good morning, Auntie Christine. I haven't seen you in a long time. How have you been? It's going to be okay. That's what I want you guys to know. Everything is going to be okay. You're going to be fine. Get your practices together. Figure out how you bring yourself to harmony. Start to look at the positive things of all this. On the one end, I'm super excited because I know that it's bringing my family, good morning, Robert, together in a unique way, that we don't get refuge. We don't get refuge, especially here in America. I don't know about every other country. I think some countries do, but some don't. And we don't get refuge sometimes. We're constantly grinding, constantly on the go, constantly doing this, constantly doing that. Move, 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 more, 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 more. That we don't get a time to just relax. We take a vacation and we need a vacation from our vacation. Hey, Enrique, how are you? Gomaru. We need a vacation from our vacation. When do we truly get refuge to just chill and take a pause? Take a pause. Start to reflect. Start to look at your life. Start to understand. I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. Take a pause from your life. Take a breath. You're going to be fine. If you understand this process, if you understand that at the spiritual, the macrocosm, at the bigger galactical, whatever you want to call it, okay, it's gonna do that. That's part of the process, okay? I speak Portuguese. Oh, pretty. That's awesome. No storm lasts forever. God, yes. Thank you, Auntie Christine. Amen to that. The no storm lasts forever. Simply put. Okay. But to understand how to get through the storm, because the storm sometimes we get caught in it, is to allow yourself to be the peace within the chaos. So if people are coming up, so for me, my family, some of my family members are freaking out, stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, first of all, are you watching the news? The first thing I ask them, are you watching the news? Well, yeah. Turn the news off. Okay. Turn the news off. Okay. Focus on what's happening right now with you. What's happening in your family? What's happening here right now? We can't control what's happening out there. We can't control it. It's going to happen, you guys. I promise you, it's going to happen. We can't control it. Sometimes we have to surrender to what's being handed to us. That's part of the process. Okay. Can't control it. So I tell them, are you watching the news? No. Okay, fine. Or yes, I am. Okay, turn off the news. Just turn it off. Why don't we sit down and have a conversation? Let's talk. Let's talk about what's going on. We can talk from our own perspective, what we feed. Let's talk about it. Okay, are you afraid? Well, no, I'm not afraid. Okay, so then what's the deal? What's going on? Well, I just want to kind of talk about it because it's interesting. Okay, well, let's talk about it because it's interesting. Or yeah, I'm afraid. Well, what are you afraid of? Let's get real. Let's dive deep into that. What are you afraid of? They're going to come and it's going to be crazy and everything's going to get crazy. Okay, that's part of life. You get that, right? Like crazy happens. Nobody escapes crazy. You get that, right? Like people, I'm saying people, you get this, right? Like we've had crazy, everybody's had crazy in their life. Everybody has a story. Okay, this is at a bigger scale. Okay, and what? At the end of the day, most people are just afraid of death, is really what it is. Their fear of they're going to expire, or on the other hand, they're afraid they're going to lose somebody that they love. But at the end of the day, it's fear of loss. It's fear of loss. The reality is that's part of life. Like that's the reality. Okay, we all die. It happens. Okay, did our time come too soon? Maybe, but God has a plan. I believe that, and we expire when we expire. Okay, so I'm afraid of death. Okay, I'm afraid of this. I'm afraid of that. You know what? We have God with us at every single moment of this process. We have every opportunity to ask God to support us through the process. I promise you, God's miracle will show up when you believe and have true faith in your heart. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. God is with you always and forever. God is trying to call you back home. God is saying, come to me, child. Find refuge in me. So there is nothing to really be worried about, is there? People are worried about toilet paper, so we run out. What does that mean? Is it the end of the world? No. It just means your butt might be a little dirty. If there's water, you can rinse that off. So when you start to look at this and the craziness of it, the bigger thing is, how do we find peace in the midst of chaos? Find your peace. If you can't find your peace in a jail cell, you'll never find your peace. Well, lock me up, and this is where self-love, this is where you center yourself, this is where you remember who you are, this is where you learn to be with you and yourself and your internal world, and you know that God is with you regardless of where you're sitting. You know, think about it. Gandhi, he sat in a jail cell and he was perfectly fine. Jesus Christ got nailed to a cross. He was perfectly fine. He cried, but he knew God was with him. He's like, I'm God. I am God. That's all you need to remember. Okay. And then take a deep breath and know that you're okay. And that after the tower, after the storm comes what? Peace and tranquility and calm. So we're headed towards that. But get right, you guys. Get right with your brains, get right with your hearts. Love people, love people, love people, even when they're getting crazy. Love them anyway. Not an easy task to do, I get it, but love them anyway. Tell those people that you love, that you've been wanting, do that. You may not be able to travel like I say right now, but that's okay. Travel in your mind. Go in a meditation travel. I had a crazy dream last night. I travel in my dreams. So you just think of it from a whole new perspective. Look at what you have now. Be grateful for what's in front of you at this very moment, like right this second. Oh, I have a roof over my head. Oh, I have a nice bed to sleep on. Oh, I have food still in my refrigerator. Oh, I have. And if there's things disappear and it's what they call the apocalypse, there's no food. Well, guess what? I have my family. And if anything, I have God first and foremost. Okay. So the tower will come, the tower will burn things up. After the tower comes the star. After the star comes peace and tranquility. Be the one who sets the seed of love and compassion and not fear. Don't feed the fear. That is what's happening now. They're seeding fear into the population. They want fear to continue to exist. Right now, it's like, okay, I'm going to look at it from a scientific perspective. Shit happens. Things like this happen. Flus happen. It's happened over centuries. Am I going to be afraid of it? No. Am I going to prepare? Yes. Be prepared? Yes. Okay, I'll prepare for it. Am I going to panic? No. I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to love my brothers and sisters. I'm going to believe that God will show up to provide what's needed. Take a deep breath. You're going to be okay. Promise you. Everybody's going to be fine. Okay? So don't be afraid. Go out and love your neighbors, love yourself, reseed love into it. If people come to you in a panic, hug them, embrace them, and say, you know what, I love you. You're going to be okay. What's coming up for you? How can I support you? We're in this together. You're not alone. Nobody's alone in this. Everybody's in it together. Okay? I wish I knew what time you came on every morning. I hate when I miss. Oh, thanks, Betty. I know. I don't do a consistent time. It's kind of hard for me to do a consistency time. Maybe when I have my own coffee shop and a podcast studio. Then and then you could actually come in to the studio, which would be nice to have visitors there. I'd love to have you guys visit and also share your wisdom. That would be nice too. Okay, so I want you guys to take a deep breath and take a deep breath in. Say, I remember that I am God in action, and breathe out. And I remember that I can support my brothers and sisters in remembering that they are God in action. I remember that God is with me. I remember that this too shall pass. I know that if I pray to God, I will find refuge, that I will find the resources, and I will be taken care of the way that I need to be taken care of. That I don't need not worry, and that any worry that I have or any anxiety or any fear or whatever's coming up for me, that I can hand it over to God and that it'll be dissolved. Because that's how great God is. And that's what God is asking that we do, that we surrender and that we give it to God and let God do what God's going to do with it, which is transmute the energy back to us in love and say, I love you. That God puts his arms around you and hugs you and says, I'm here. I'm here to shelter you. I'm here to support you. I'm here to love you. I'm here to be with you. I'm getting through it with my faith in God. God is the answer. Yes, it is. Absolutely 100%. That you remember that when you call out to God, to this thing that is greater than anything we could comprehend or understand, that what comes back to us is love, kindness, compassion, refuge, arms, embrace. That will set you free. Okay? Just a remembrance, just a waking up. It's just telling you that you're God in motion. No need to panic. Okay? Every time, go to God. I'm feeling this way, go to God. Don't go to your friend. I mean, you can go to your friends, but your friends are going to panic with you. They're human. You start panicking, you're seeding panic in everybody else. Why are you going to seed panic in people? Seed love in them. Seed joy. Seed God. Seed that everything's going to be okay because God is there with them. Seed those things. Focus on those things. That's what we need right now. We need people to start seeding hope, compassion, love, inspiration, refuge. So you can ask yourself, what am I seeding in people? And that's going to be what I ask that you guys do. What am I seeding in people in this moment? What am I seeding in myself? Am I seeding love and kindness and compassion, or am I seeding fear in people? You don't need to be afraid if you have God. And if we can tell people that, we're doing our job, right? We're being light workers. We're illuminating the world to remember that it is okay, that we will come out of this, that there is refuge, that there's beauty in this world, and that we are resilient as a species. There are plenty of people seeding panic. And right now, we need to seed more love. So go out there and sprinkle your little love everywhere. That's what I'm going to do. Sprinkle love. Sprinkle, 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 sprinkle. I'm going to get my fairy dust and sprinkle love everywhere. Okay. I'm sprinkling love on you guys. Okay. There you go. That's how you become the calm in the storm. Sprinkle love. People say, I'm going to, guess what? I love you. I'm going crazy. Guess what? I love you. Okay. Okay. So I hope this was helpful. We're going to continue on this, of course, because that is the latest news of what's going on in this crazy storyline of the world, of this illusion. So I will continue to work with you guys on this. And I just want you to know that I love you, absolutely love you. So have a fantastical day. And I will be seeing you guys tomorrow. Okay. Have a good one. Bye.